Welcome to International Podcast Month, or IPM. IPM 2020 is brought to you by the organizational team, Anne, Cole, Tess, and Theron. A very special thank you to all of our participants, without whom this event wouldn't be possible. And now, on to the episode.
Life's a game.
The world's a stage.
And we are all merely role players. Join members of Blackshaw Theatre Company as they try on all the many roles there are to play.
You are Blackshaw Theatre.
Nobody else knows.
You're also investigators of inexplicable happenings,
Deputies of federal law enforcement.
master thieves and con artists.
Hooray!
Merely role players, where theatrical people play role-playing games. New episodes every week, new stories in new genres every season. Just search for Merely Role Players wherever you find podcasts.
The Unexplored Places, Tango Sector, is an actual play podcast about the crew of the spaceship Pelagian, a ragtag group of reckless guns for hire, taking jobs, facing rivals, making enemies, and scraping by amidst the plots and schemes of the cops, cults, and criminals who control their home in Tango Sector. Find us on Twitter at UnexploredCast, and tune in every other Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to the Adventurers Guild podcast, the home of tabletop comics, a weekly comic book for your ears, releasing every new comic book day, the annual Amber Hill Halloween special, the upcoming eponymous Adventurers Guild quests, and more. On iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Podbean, the Adventurers Guild, telling amazing stories through tabletop gaming.
Tabletop Buffoonery is an actual play best friends podcast where I try and get two of my best friends to play D&D with me. Meet Ronnie Chambers, played by Josh.
Ronnie Chambers is ready, baby. I'm very hairy. Obscenely hairy.
And Sully Bottoms, played by John.
I don't know. Sully Bottoms. I want an eye patch. Can I be in a zoot suit and be from like the 1920s?
As they venture through the desert and try to understand why no one will give them a freaking smooch already. You can find us every other Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us on Twitter at Tabletop Buffoon.
Turns out in this game, our actions have consequences.
Good stuff. Alright, so let's get started. Hello, welcome to this episode of IPM, playing Beam Saber. I am the GM for this session. My name is Robin. My pronouns are they, them.
My name is Christine, my pronouns are they, them, and I am playing the Ace. Her name is Antiquity Hart, Annie for short. Her call sign is Spark, and she uses she, her pronouns.
My name is Joshua, they, them. I am playing Commander Eris, the officer, call sign Sarge.
And my name is Matt. My pronouns are he, him. And I am playing Paris Eltree, the envoy playbook. His pronouns are also he, him, and his call sign is Vista.
Okay, good stuff. So, Beam Saber is a Forged in the Dark system, so it's a lot like Blades in the Dark if you've ever played that. But rather than give you, the audience, a sort of lengthy explanation of that, we're just going to sort of jump in. So, you guys have your base in a castle in the mountains outside of Journey City. And can you guys... What is the name of your squad again?
We are the Warning Shots.
Right. And you guys are a consulate, which is sort of a negotiation-based squad. So
Diplomatic.
Yeah, sort of loosely diplomatic. And if I remember correctly, you guys have chosen to work... Your patron faction is the oligarchy ruled by the Adamant Council of Nor.
Yes.
Yep.
Which is confusing if you've played one version or another of Fire Emblem. Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
But, so, you guys are kind of chilling in the castle when you receive a call from your sort of commanding officer, your direct superior, Chip Canticle, to come to his office.
Alright, I will get over there double time.
Okay.
Me as well.
I will dawdle slightly and be the last in the door.
I figure Paris is probably the last one, yeah. So you guys sit down in his office. Chip is he's in his early to mid-50s. He's a career soldier, and he wears his graying hair pulled back into sort of a bun. And once you guys sit down, he begins speaking. So, for the last few months, some trading caravans going towards Journey City, coming in from the north, have been getting raided. And, we've gotten word that it's probably the Raccoons, which are a squad from the Jovangellian Empire. Our higher-ups have asked that you speak with them and either convince them to end these raids, or failing that, to capture them and bring them in. So, we've tracked them to a warehouse out on the outskirts of the greater Journey City area. It should go without saying, if there are any civilians, no civilian casualties. Is this clear?
Roger.
Crystal.
Absolutely.
Any questions?
How do we know it is them? What's the intelligence pointing to it being the Raccoons? We don't want to kick their doors in on false pretenses now.
Yes. Well, the Raccoons are so named because of their somewhat, shall we say, underhanded tactics, but also as a trademark, the Raccoons paint the faces of all their mechs with raccoon masks. And some of those who've been raided have reported similar markings on the vehicles of those who have attacked them.
Tacky.
Do we know how
handy for us?
Do we know how many we'll be dealing with, and do we have an idea of what equipment they have?
We don't have a great deal of information on the Raccoons because they're part of a different faction, and that kind of information they tend to keep close to chest, just like most other factions don't know how many members there are of this squad. It's theorized that there's as many as half a dozen. We do know that the leader of the Raccoons is a pilot named Meteora Overkill, call sign Crab Hunter.
A name to conjure with.
Okay. Do we know what type of mechs they use?
We do not.
Okay.
So, be prepared for anything. You move out at sundown. So, with that, he dismisses you. Is there anything you'd like to do to prepare beforehand, or do we just want to jump straight into the mission portion, basically?
If possible, I would like to see if there's any kind of leverage that I could get my hands on. That if we're going to go and negotiate with these people, then I would like to know that I have either something to offer them or something to threaten them with. If that's possible, if that's possible to do before sundown.
I think you could maybe do a survey roll to see what you might be able to dig up, and that might be the best way to go about it.
Sure.
So here I'm gonna say your position is standard, or is controlled, because you're not out in the field or anything, and you're not sort of up against the wall, and the effect will be standard. So roll 2d6.
Coming up. They are both ones. Which is a great start.
Yeah, we're off to a good start. So that's pretty much just a failure. Let me see if there's anything to note about that. Yeah, despite your work, you spend, I don't know, probably at least half an hour, like, trying to dig up anything at all in the Raccoons. And yeah, the only thing you can find out is, like, essentially tabloid stories of Meteora Overkill being, like, a particularly harsh pilot. But that's about it.
Well, no leverage, gang. Looks like we're just going to have to rely on my charm.
I would like to get some intel about the warehouse itself, the area around it, sort of get the lay of the land, maybe see if I can get any information about what's there. Maybe do a flyby in my mech beforehand to try to get a sense of what we're going to be dealing with.
Okay, so if you're going to do it in your mech, you can use scan as opposed to survey.
Great, I've got a 1 in scan.
Okay. Now, when you're in your vehicle, since you only got the 1,
yes,
you can push yourself by spending a quirk from your vehicle if you can explain to me how it would help you in this to get an extra die.
Sure. I think I will do that because Paris did not get us anything. Could I use my quirks are not great for this kind of thing, but could I use my thin, light frame to sort of, like, maneuver quickly?
And get, like, a better vantage point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
And sort of also using that to kind of avoid danger, because I can get, I can avoid being spotted by being fast.
Yeah, absolutely. So mark that you've used that quirk, and then give me 2d6.
All right. 2 5s.
2 5s, so that's pretty good. So your position here would be a little riskier because there's a chance of you being found, and that can always end poorly. But so a 5 means you get a partial success, so you are able to sort of scan, and this is like a pretty large warehouse, but it is abandoned, and there's not a whole lot of materials inside of it. It's largely based on your scan serving as a like a hangar basically for this crew, but you are pretty sure that you are seen because you see someone outside with binoculars looking in your direction.
Oof, okay.
And so I'm going to start a clock on that. And if that may or may not become a problem.
Great.
And this is exactly why I was thinking about popping in and being like, I would tell you not to do that, but instead I think I'm just gonna lay into you a little bit when you get back, because I was basically gonna do the same thing, except not go out and do it, but like look at like any kind of satellite imagery, maps, etc., to get kind of a tactical overview of what's around and where like vantage points and stuff are, as opposed to actually going out and risking exposing myself.
Boring.
Okay. So you come back, and Sarge, you catch Antiquity coming back in Phoenix Chimera, which is their vehicle.
I'll just be standing there with my arms folded and a rather cross look on my face as she lands, and just kind of waiting impatiently.
Hey, Sarge.
And where did you go?
Checking out the warehouse, seeing what we're dealing with.
You don't think maybe there's a better way to do that than exposing yourself?
I don't think anyone was doing anything else. So...
Well, maybe next time you ask the person who's done this kind of thing before. We have maps, we have satellites, we've got other ways of getting a lay of the land.
than going out and risking blowing the operation.
Outdated maps, unreliable satellites. Look, there's nothing that compares to seeing something in person.
You're right. There's not. But it's not worth it if you're seen and they now know that we're going to be coming.
Haven't we arranged a meeting? Didn't they know we were coming anyway?
My understanding is we're just kind of going. We don't know what they know. We don't know what they're expecting.
Well, they're going to know that we're coming pretty soon anyway, so...
Yeah, but now they can be better prepared for us.
And we can be better prepared
Think about
for
that
them.
next time.
Sure thing, Sarge.
So this actually, in terms of how the game works, does bring up an important question of planning, which is, what kind of plan are you going with?
Yes.
Which I just want to stick in there before we...
Yeah.
Real quick, which is, there's assault, scientific, deception, social, stealth, and transport. Which one do you think you guys will go with?
It feels like either deception or social for this mission, right?
Yeah, so here's my thing, because I wanted to kind of use like maps and like imagery, and my thought is get a tactical layout of the land, and I do have survey as one of my insight abilities, skills, whatever. And I could post up somewhere in kind of an Overwatch position, almost. And in case the negotiations, discussion, whatever goes bad, then I am there ready to act.
Okay, so you're thinking of, like, getting sort of a tactical position that's not immediately visible so that you can get into the action if things go badly.
Yes. Like,
Okay.
instead of bringing my big, heavy, armored combat mech, or, like, right up in there and being intimidating, if they want to negotiate, they can try to negotiate. But then, you know, when things inevitably go sideways, I can just start shooting, and they won't know that I'm there, hopefully.
Sure. So that to me sounds like it either serves as deception or assault. Or realistically, deception with a backup of assault.
To me, it's social with a backup of assault.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because if that's
So
the backup plan, but the main plan is that one of us, realistically Paris as the envoy, actually makes a kind of an entrance and tries to make overtures to this gang.
Yeah.
And Sarge is there in case it goes sideways.
And I've literally got like Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, etc. engraved in the sides of all my weapons.
I love it. Okay, so Sarge, if you're going to survey to get a sense of it, go ahead and do that. And much like Christine did, you can, instead of spending a stress, since it's a pilot instead of spending a quirk because it's a pilot action, you can spend a stress to give yourself an extra die to roll.
I can do that. So I just mark one stress in the box.
Correct.
And roll 3d6.
Because you only have one in insight, you'll roll 2d6.
2d6. Okay.
So,
that is an 8.
Oh, it's 2 stress. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So what's the highest you got? What's the highest die?
5.
5. Okay. So you're able to get a pretty good sense of the terrain through sort of like, we'll say like satellite imaging that's been done of the area. And you do have a pretty good sense of where you might be able to post up so that you won't be seen. But you do notice that the maps are a little out of date, not terribly, but you may have to adjust based on what the terrain actually looks like once you get there.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. So, is there anything else anyone wants to do before you head out?
Nope. I think I'm good. I will definitely pull Vista aside and just be like, as we're kind of packing up and getting ready to go, I'll just pull Vista aside and just be like, things go sideways and the shooting starts, just get out of my way.
Absolutely. Don't worry, though. I am confident that your skills won't be needed.
I will give you a very skeptical look.
Okay. So, everyone decide what your load is going to be for this mission. And then, who would like to make the engagement roll? Which is just a... we'll get to that in a minute. So the engagement roll just sort of represents, like, the initial getting through the first obstacle, which is just getting there. In this instance, getting to the actual site. It largely serves to set up the position you're in once you actually get into the sort of, how should we say, like, the meat and bones of the mission. So there's a few normally it's just 1d6 for luck, but there's some questions that can affect it. So I wouldn't say this mission is exceptionally bold or complex, because you didn't find any information about the Raccoons. You don't get a die for exploiting vulnerabilities.
Whoops.
What about for tactical advantage?
Actually, yeah, I'll give you a die for that, so that brings you up to 2, and then does the squad receive external support for the mission beyond the intel of where they are? Not really. And then I think I'm going to take... Yeah, so that puts you at 2d6. So, who would like to roll it?
I'll roll it.
Alright, roll 2d6 for me. And then tell me the highest you get.
That is 2 1s.
God.
Oh, no!
Jesus.
So we've already been captured.
Well, so, yeah, if the result is 1 to 3, the starting position is desperate. So, I think that the route from your base to this base was not nearly as uninteresting as you thought. And so you guys had to... Well, here's the question. Do you think that if you encountered unexpected, like, enemy forces, how do you think this squad would handle that? Roughly speaking.
What specifically, what kind of enemy forces?
Yeah.
Sure. So, en route to this warehouse, you actually run into a squad from the Theocracy. And as you're heading towards heading in that direction, you are stopped by a group calling themselves the Rights of the Ascent, who are currently guarding, they appear to be building some kind of monument, or building, and they'll stop you and ask you what you're doing in this area.
I feel like we can talk our way through this, right?
Surely.
Sure, as I ready my rifle.
I'm assuming we are traveling in our vehicles, right?
Yeah,
it's always imagining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's generally assumed that you're traveling in your vehicles or with them.
Okay. So, Paris's vehicle, which is a humanoid mech known as Common Courtesy, which the main thing to know about it is that it's wearing a cape. It executes a kind of courtly bow, goes down on one knee, and the chest opens and Paris steps out onto the road in front of this checkpoint. Kind of palms out towards them to show a sort of a peaceful appearance, and says, "Just passing through. We have no issue with you. What a fine monument you appear to be building."
Okay. I think for that I'll have you... This sounds like sway to me.
That sounds good to me.
All right.
And would you say that stunt with the big entrance out of the mech counts as taking advantage of how impressive we are?
I think... Oh, this is for your thing. Yeah, that'll go for it. So it'll get increased effect.
Great. Okay, so I have 2 in survey. In sway.
Sway, yeah. So 2d6.
Let's see if I can do better than 2 1s this time. One of those is a 6.
Oh, perfect. So that, I think, the effect is outstanding. So they back down immediately, and they're like, "Oh, thank you for noticing. Yeah, we've been out here for a little bit working on this. It's going to be glorious once it's finished." But
I can tell. Sculpture isn't my usual area, but from what I can see, from what I know, this is exquisite work.
Oh, thank you. The mech puts like a hand to its chest as though it's flattered. Thank you. Carry on.
Yes, we wouldn't want to hold up your important work.
They wave you off as you leave. And then, so that was one thing that kind of like slows you down. The other thing is when you actually get to the warehouse, you do see that there's already a vehicle standing outside of the warehouse, which is sort of like a weird mech that looks like it's like hunched over almost, with like clawed hands and a long tail coming out of the back.
Well, I am at this point up in the hills somewhere taking up my position, so I will just kind of observe everything that goes on below for now.
Sure, absolutely. So, Antiquity and Paris, how do you respond to this?
Does it appear to be, like, active? Like there's someone in it, it's on? Or...
Oh, yeah,
okay.
It's definitely clear that someone is in this, because as you guys get closer, it turns towards you. It turns towards you, and you hear a voice over basically a loudspeaker coming from the mech. "Who the hell are you?"
We're the warning shots. Am I speaking to... was it Crab Killer?
Crab Hunter.
Crab Hunter. Am I speaking to Crab Hunter?
Oh, no. I'm not I ain't Crab Hunter. I'm Olingo.
Well met. We would like to speak to Crab Hunter.
Yeah, what's this regarding? We ain't exactly used to visitors out here.
It's regarding a deal.
Ooh. Well then. I'll go get her. And the mech basically... It does like the Metroid rolls up into a ball and then rolls into the warehouse. And then,
that's a
few
new one.
minutes later, some bay doors open on another side of the building, and out steps a much taller vehicle. This one's much more humanoid, standing normally upright with lots of black, and the skirt of the mech specifically is designed so that it looks like it's part of an overcoat. So it looks like this mech is wearing some kind of strange overcoat almost, although it's clearly not. And it's got like big heavy shoulder pieces. And you can see there is basically just a sword hilt of some kind at its waist, but no like blade attached to it. And it approaches you, and you hear a voice over the speaker. "You're looking for Crab Hunter?"
Yes.
She is speaking.
Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. I am Vista of the Consulate Warning Shots, and I'm here to extend you the courtesy of the Nor. This is all coming from my mech's booming loudspeakers, by the way.
Oh, right.
The head looks like one of those medieval helmets, just full of breathing holes, except it's actually a big speaker.
Amazing. I love it. It's perfect.
So I'm making sure that everybody inside the warehouse can hear this as well, essentially.
Sure, right. It's not even the least bit quiet.
Oh no, it's not how I roll.
Beautiful. A deal from the Adamant Council of Nor. What do you purport to offer us?
A chance to move out of this territory before it's carpet bombed. There is action planned by the Nor. This sector has been chosen for purging. We have no particular quarrel with your people, so we've been sent, my companion and I, to offer you the courtesy of a warning and 24 hours to get your stuff together and move out before this whole sector is turned into a flaming pit.
Okay, I'm going to need a sway roll.
I thought you might. I would like to push myself on this.
Yeah, so take 2 stress.
Yep. And that gives me 3 dice. Highest of those is a 6.
Okay, excellent. So, 2 things. One, since you're taking a desperate action, technically you get to mark an experience in Resolve.
Nice.
But then, since you got a 6, she seems shocked. So, the Council of Nor is just going to bomb this particular area. Just lay it to waste.
That's what I've been given to understand.
And she points at Antiquity's mech. Is that why you were flying around the other day?
Yes.
Because we saw you.
Standard Recon.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we knew you were here to extend the offer.
I will pipe in over our internal comms and just be like, I fucking told you so.
Beautiful.
I'm just gonna put my mech's hand behind its back, where only Sarge can see, and flip them off.
So, you all want us to move out of here. Might I ask, Vista, why this sector? Why here? You know, this is pretty close to Journey City. Seems a mite dangerous.
Well, flattered as I am that you take a look at this fine machine that I'm riding and assume I must be high up in the hierarchy. I'm afraid I'm not. I'm not party to the decision-making process. I'm only party to the decisions themselves. And the decision has been made, I'm afraid.
Well, then. I'd suppose we better roll out.
That's what I would do in your position.
You hear a low, strange sort of whistle come out of her mech, and then the one you had seen previously rolls out, as well as a third one, which is... This one just looks like... It looks like they took a construction vehicle and turned it into a mech. And so it's this weird kind of squat thing on 4 legs, but they look like construction arms. And there's like a sort of crudely attached face area, as well as a couple of guns mounted on it that clearly were not there when this thing was originally built.
And just so I've got this right, they all have raccoon faces painted on them?
They all have a raccoon mask painted on them.
Wonderful.
So how much of this area are they blasting, just so we know how far away we gotta go?
I, Matt, the player, do not know what a sensible area to say would be.
Sure,
it's possible that Paris wouldn't either, though, to be honest. Very much bluffing all of this.
There was...
How far away would we need to get them to go to sort of fulfill the mission?
There was a village nearby, right?
Probably a few miles back, you had encountered where they were building that monument. And then Journey City is probably just out of sight range.
Okay, so there's a city, but there's no... I thought you mentioned something about there being like a village or something nearby.
So there's probably villages dotted around, because this is like... Basically, you're in the, like, very extended suburbia of Journey City, if that makes sense. Just much more spread out.
Okay, and is Journey City one of our cities?
Journey City is just sort of a big city that is carved up. Each faction controls a chunk of it, basically, but no one faction owns the whole thing.
Okay.
So I guess I say an area that, if they were to clear out of it, would mean they wouldn't have access to the same supply lines they've been raiding anymore.
Sure. And Crab Hunter in response, well, now that's going to be a bit of a problem for us.
If you stay here, yes.
Yeah, but you see, we've got our own orders, and so... Just a thought of, what if, this scouting vehicle, and she, points at Antiquity's vehicle again, if it just, doesn't come back?
I'm sorry?
Just a thought, if you're scouting out the area, and that's how you're deciding the, area it's about to be, what was the word, purified?
Purged, actually. It's important to be...
Purged, thank you,
accurate.
You're right. Purified sounds like theocracy talk. What if, I don't know, what if something just happens and you just happen to, I don't know, disappear?
No, Crab Hunter, I'm good at doublespeak. I can doublespeak with the best of them, but I am having trouble understanding whether this is meant to be an offer or a threat.
I don't think this is working, guys.
Well,
Not with that attitude, Sarge.
Why don't you tell me what it sounds like? And the guns on the construction mech point at Phoenix Chimera.
I will shoot the construction mech from my position.
Cool. So, what do you think? Battle seems to make most sense here.
I've got 2 in battle.
All right. So you can roll 2. If you want a third, you could expend a quirk. But 2 is pretty good.
Yep. I will open fire with my directed energy weapon, kind of a long beam sniper rifle thing that I brought with me.
Yep, perfect.
And that is a 6 with a 5 on my higher die.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah. Tell me what it looks like when you beam sniper this mech.
Having sat here and watched and kind of taken stock of all 3 of these vehicles, I just casually line up my shot, and a lancing beam of light extends from my barrel through the other mech and into the ground behind it.
Okay, yeah. So you fire through and it does considerable damage. And Crab Hunter's mech grabs its sword and says, "Peace was never really an option, was it?" And when they pull their sword out, they point it to one side, and a beam blade extends out of it to... It is preposterously long. It's the Sephiroth sword of beam swords. So, things are happening now. The mech with the beam saber raccoon. They're all raccoons. Crab Hunter's coming towards you, Paris. Olingo, the rolling mech, is rolling towards you. Antiquity. What are you guys doing?
So, if you're up for it, Christine, I have a possibility for something that sets you up for a kind of cool counterattack.
Absolutely.
So, I would like to declare, as part of my vehicle gear, my fine hollow projector. So my shiny gilded shiny mech is outfitted with very fine, very well concealed hollow projectors, and Phoenix Chimera, which has been standing next to me, or sort of in bodyguard position this whole time, is not actually Phoenix Chimera. It's a hollow projection.
Yes.
To allow the real Phoenix Chimera to get the drop on them.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So, I think... Yeah, that works.
Do you want me to roll anything for that?
So normally when you're assisting an ally, I think it's... Takes stress equal to the number of ticks in your relationship clock with them, and then you get to select what the benefit is for them. It can be they take +1, they have an improved effect, they have an improved position, or, and this one doesn't really seem necessary, they ignore their level 3 harm.
Improved position sounds narratively right for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Cool, so I'll take stress
Christine,
for that.
you'll be... Yeah, you'll take... I think
Should be 1?
Yeah, just 1, because your connection with everyone is 1 right now. So you'll take 1 stress for that, and then Christine, how are you responding to the rolling mech that's coming towards you?
So not coming towards me, but coming towards the hollow projection of me. Just narratively, would it be fair to say that when I was here earlier, I found some sort of, out of sight spot that I could be coming from at this point? That I could have set myself up in?
Yeah, I think so. So we can sort of flash back and say that you had found something like that. And I think... The pilot is prepared a seemingly unexpected circumstance. They can have a flashback to show that they weren't caught off guard. If the preparation was simple and there was ample opportunity... Yeah, no. So you're good.
Great.
So we just flash back to a scene of you finding a spot to hide out.
So what I would like to do is, instead of actually going for the rolling mech, which at this point is sort of headed off towards this diversion version of me and a little distracted at the moment. I'm actually going to go right for Crab Hunter. And I think what it is that I am basically, as this conversation is happening and I'm running up to this action as I'm sort of being set up for this, I'm flying up basically as high as I can get and then essentially dive bombing her. And at the last second, I am turning my mech, which I have not yet described it, but it's a sort of lithe gold humanoid mech with sort of flame decals on it, and it has wings made out of razor blades. So basically, at the last second, I want to turn so that my wings kind of catch her mech and sort of tangle her mech up in it and slice through the armor plating.
Sure, absolutely. So, I'm gonna have you roll something.
I'm hoping for maneuver here.
Battle. Because this is exceptionally fancy, I think the argument for maneuver works.
Great.
So, you're at an improved position, so you're risky as opposed to desperate.
Yes.
So, roll 2d6.
So, 2 and a 4. So 4.
Okay. Yeah, so 4. So you do manage to do this where your wings crash into them. However, what you were not anticipating on is this thing is a little bigger and heavier than you maybe realized from a distance.
Sure.
And so your wings are unfortunately stuck in a piece of the armor plating. And in response, they are going to swing their giant beam sword and do, I think, probably level 1 damage. So just mark that on your sheet that you have damaged wings.
Okay. I have a move that is called Meat is Cheap, Save the Metal. When the vehicle you're piloting takes damage, you can choose for the pilot to take an equal level of harm instead. If you resist this harm, take -1d to the resist roll. Can I take that damage as harm instead and then attempt to resist it?
Yes, I will let that. Yeah. So, Meat is Cheap, Save the Metal lets you do that, so you would take level 1 harm instead, and to resist, you would roll 2d6.
All right. But I'm rolling -1 because of the move, so I'm rolling 1d6.
Yeah, so you would take,
All right.
just the 1.
That's 4 again. So 2 stress, right?
4, okay. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so rolling mech is keeps on rolling, and the construction mech looks like it's struggling to figure out how to move since it has a hole in it now. And Phoenix Chimera is stuck in Kaiser Cradle is the name of this mech.
So as soon as I let my shot out and see this sword get drawn, I'm basically going to drop plan B and charge in, drawing plans D and E, which are a handheld gun and a sword, and let loose with plan C, which is a volley of missiles.
Oh god. Okay. So what are you rolling then to and what are you bombarding or what are you firing at the missiles with specifically?
I am mostly opening fire on Crab Hunter.
Okay, and I think this will be another battle roll.
Okay, so 2d6 then?
Yes.
All right. That is a 5, with one of them being a 4.
Okay, so a 5. You are able to... Your missiles do go off and hit Crab Hunter, and so they will take some damage from that. However, also attached is Phoenix Chimera. So, Phoenix Chimera, unfortunately, once again, level 1 damage is coming to you from missiles hitting you, which are not perhaps as accurate as you would like them to be.
I'm gonna meet his cheap save the metal again. Yeah. And try to resist this harm again. So same thing, 1d6?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is a 5. So 1 stress?
So you take 1 stress. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and again, at the same time, I am charging in my mech, which is very similar to, what is it, Phoenix, what?
Chimera.
Phoenix. My mech is very similar to Phoenix Chimera, but much bulkier and heavier. Clearly meant to be a combat-heavy mech, and trying to draw crab hunters' attention toward me and away from the trapped rookie.
I'm gonna jump on my communicator here and first off say, okay, what the fuck? You just hit me? Also, I have her covered. Deal with the other one. I'm fine.
You look stuck.
Part of the plan. Give me like 30 seconds and you'll see that it's part of the plan. Also, it would have happened already if you hadn't fucking shot me.
Okay. On that note, what are you doing, Paris?
I would like to see if I can lead one of the other raccoons on some sort of merry chase. Probably the rolling one, because the construction one probably would be too slow to actually chase me. But I want to see if I can lead the rolling one away from the main fight, so that I can leave Sarge and Spark to mop these two up.
Okay, sounds good.
So, potentially with some sort of provoking, I'll maybe just light up my jump jets, drop the projection of Phoenix Chimera now that it's clear that it's not the real one. Just jump jet kind of behind where it just rolled from and say something like, "You're letting a high-value target escape," and then jump jet off again in another direction and hope that they chase.
Yeah, I think that'll work. It starts rolling in your direction, and it actually... Yeah, I think roll a maneuver to see how this goes.
Okay. I am going to push myself again. So
sure,
taking
2
stress.
Would it be a quirk for manipulate?
Yes.
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. It's a quirk.
Thank you.
For this.
Yes, so I will use my nimble fragility of common courtesy to jink about and just stay just out of its reach without letting it know that I'm sort of toying with it.
Sure.
Highest of those is a 3.
So it doesn't go quite as well as you think. And in fact, I'm going to kind of use nimble fragility against you here, which is that you do start sort of leaping around and you're doing these acrobatic maneuvers. What you did not anticipate was how nimble, in fact, Olingo's Reaver is, and it, like, smoothly rolls out of a ball and jumps through the air and grabs you.
Oh no.
And starts clawing into you, which I'm going to say is going to be level 1 damage of scraped hull, I guess, or however we want to describe that.
Sure.
But also, and this has no mechanical part, I just want you to know that he's also shredding your cape.
No.
Oh no.
Oh, he's going to pay for that.
I couldn't resist. So, as that's happening, what are you doing now, Antiquity?
Yes. So, my vehicle has a light load, and I'm going to use one of those to declare that I have a grapnel anchor tool. What I want to do here is take this sort of like harpoon anchor, stick it into Crab Hunter's mech, and then again just like take off and fly up as high as I can, and then dive bomb to sort of like hit the ground her first, so that she takes the brunt of the damage from this really dramatic dive bomb.
So you want to launch into the air and then use her mech as your landing cushion.
Exactly.
Beautiful. All right. To me, that sounds like maneuver.
Yeah, and I do want to go ahead and spend a quirk to push myself here for an extra die.
Sure.
And I want to use my mech has extra limbs.
Oh.
And I'm just like using those to grab onto her and maneuver more quickly and sort of hold onto her as tight as I can.
Sure.
So that she can't get free while I'm doing this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so 3d6. It's a 6 and 2 4s.
Okay, 6 will do it. So you managed to do this. What does it look like when you launch into the air and then land on the opposing mech?
I think it's just this like very dramatic. Again, I have these like flame decals, and I fly up quite quickly, so it's like streak into the air and then immediately right back down, and just like I think that the two mechs, one on top of the other, just kind of go skidding through the ground, like making this huge dent in the dirt here, and hopefully like shredding large pieces of her armor off of her mech as we skid through the ground.
Yeah, I think when you hit the ground and start skidding across the ground, pieces of their, like, skirt fall off. And so now the legs of it are more exposed. And looks a little more ridiculous because it's now this, like, strangely top-heavy mech. With an elaborately long beam sword. Sarge.
Yeah.
You just watched this happen. What are you doing?
I am shaking my head, and I'm just going to pipe over my comms. Don't you have any weapons? And
Sarge, I am a weapon.
I'm just...
Sarge, may I remind you that we are a diplomatic squad?
Yeah, that doesn't mean I should be the only person with a gun. And as I close in, I am going to kind of split my attention and with my sword try and finish off the kind of construction one that I shot earlier, and with my hand cannon essentially open fire on the one that's after Vista.
Okay, so that'll be, I'll have you do 2 separate rolls there, but that definitely is battle.
Okay, so 2d6 for each?
Yep.
Okay.
Unless you want to spend a quirk and push yourself.
I will expend military workhorse.
Ooh, okay. On which one?
Oh, it would only apply to one?
Yeah.
I will expend it to finish off this construction mech.
Okay, cool. So that'll be 3d6 for that.
All right. That is a 13 with 2 5s.
2 5s. That's pretty good. So you do what it looks like, I think, is that you swing at this thing with your sword, and it manages to... Your swing manages to basically split off the cockpit from the rest of the vehicle. But as that's happening, both of its machine guns point at you and just let loose. And I think that's going to be level 2 damage.
Okay. I take damage?
So on your sheet below, so on your sheet below harm, you'll see damage. And you can actually just mark level 1 because you have armor as part of your loadout.
Okay, so just put an X in there, essentially?
Yeah, pretty much. Just to mark that, like, there has been some damage to your mech, even though it's not sort of excessive.
Okay, so now, as someone I'm not super familiar with the mechanics of the game, why am I taking damage?
So it doesn't have the same sort of, like, back and forth swinging of something like D&D. It more is a matter of when you get a 4 to a 5, that's either going to be you still do the thing you're trying to do, but there's some kind of cost to it, which is why you're taking damage in this instance.
Okay.
You can also often try to resist that by rolling. You see the expertise, acuity, resolve, prowess, insight, and the dice listed there. You can resist by rolling the amount of dice and then subtracting that.
Okay.
From stress and take that much stress usually.
Okay.
In the instance of a vehicle, you're expending a quirk, I think.
Yeah.
No dice rolls.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You must exist all 4 quirks minus the attribute rating used to a minimum of 1. Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
But, so you've got a little... Yeah, you've got light damage,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just wondering mechanically because I don't really know the system. So...
Yeah, it's kind of weird in that sense. So, and then a second battle roll on Reaver, which is the one attached to Paris's ship.
And that is a 5 with a 2 and a 3.
Okay, so 5 will be enough to hit it. I think here I'll offer you this. It's either going to be that you hit it and it's not enough damage to finish it off, or you hit it and it's enough damage to finish it off, but you're also going to deal damage to Paris's vehicle.
In the interest of...
I've got something for if you don't finish it off.
Well, I was just going to say, in the interest of playing my character to my character, I would finish it off.
Sure, absolutely.
Like, Paris will survive. I don't care much about his vehicle. He will live, and that's important. Get rid of these two, and then deal with Crab Hunter.
Yeah, you're the reverse of Antiquity. The metal is cheap. Save the meat.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the metal is pointless without the meat. That is my opinion.
I agree. So I think then, that's gonna advance your damage to level 2. Paris.
Can I, if I take armor, can I knock that down?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I'm going to declare some armor then. Sarge knows exactly where common courtesy is heavily armored.
Absolutely. And so that'll be 2 ticks for the armor. Alright, so 2 of them are down. Crab Hunter's Kaiser Cradle is still up. Although currently underneath Phoenix Chimera.
Appreciate the save, Sarge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think since you've just gotten Olingo off of you, Matt, what would you like to do?
Stand back up. Just tear off what remains of the cape and fling it dramatically to one side. Looks like diplomatic mode is done with.
Just be like, I told you the cape was a bad idea.
Sure.
But I think I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'm gonna kind of hover and be around for support stuff, wading in to take out the like main bad guy is kind of not Paris's thing.
Sure, absolutely.
What are the conditions like? Is this kind of broad daylight or what?
It was night when we rolled out, right?
Yeah, it's probably getting in towards like late night.
Okay.
By the time you guys got there.
So it might potentially be useful for me to light up the battlefield for my colleagues then.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So I'm going to get up, survey the battlefield, rip off the cape, and the shoulders of the mech pop open and flare mortars fire out, flying high over the battlefield and lighting the whole place up with a big white magnesium glare.
Beautiful.
Hopefully that'll do something for people's position or something, I don't know. But
it definitely helps what I was about to do.
It's a flashy move, so...
Yeah, Yeah, it is. So that to me, I realized there's also a set up a teammate, but I think that's a set up a move. So.
Oh yeah, weakening an obstacle or empowering an ally.
But I think we'll just take that as a setup action. And so, Christine and Joshua, for your next move, you can either have a better position or an increased effect. Better position meaning you're more likely to succeed. Increased effect meaning if you succeed, you do something more impressive.
Yeah. Given this new light, and given that I kind of have Crab Hunter's mech sort of pinned under me, do I get the sense that there would be time here for me to do a quick scan to see if I can find, like, some sort of weak point or something on this mech that if I target it will be more effective?
Yeah, I think you can do that.
Okay. Maybe taking improved positioning from this light.
Okay.
Can I... So, I have the special ability Tactical Genius, which says 2 times permission you can assist a teammate without paying stress. Tell us how you're prepared for this. Can I just, from experience, be able to point out more kind of vulnerable spaces on this mech design?
Yeah, I think so, because I think we can safely say that, like, even though this is obviously, like, a highly customized vehicle, you've definitely seen something like this before.
Yeah.
And so you can be like, oh, wait, I know this model.
Like,
this is where they're usually weak.
Most humanoid-style mechs have, kind of certain weak spots. This one in particular's got a couple extras, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. So, absolutely.
Sick.
And so... Oh, and you don't pay the stress, that's right.
Yep.
Rad.
So given that, and given the improved position from this light, instead of actually scanning for a weak point, since I sort of have one from Sarge, I would love to just go ahead and target one of these weak points. I think I'm going to spend one of my load on having a directed energy weapon, and I think this is a close range, kind of like Iron Man's like hand repulsors style, like in the hand of my mech, this directed energy weapon. And I want to go ahead and use that to just sort of whatever the weakest part of this mech is, just kind of close range obliterate it.
Yeah, go for it. And then Sarge, are you giving what are you giving Christine for their role? Because they can get an extra die, improved effect, improved position, or ignore. Level 3 harm doesn't matter right now. Basically at level 3, you're taking scars and or need assistance with your mech to do things.
I'll give an extra die. I'm more interested in making sure the attack hits than necessarily making it, more effective.
Yeah.
Which is why for mine, I'll take a better position so that I can get an extra die to my roll rather than a better effect.
Okay.
So is this battle?
Yeah, this will be battle to me.
Okay, and what's my positioning and effect by default here?
So are you taking increased effect or increased position from
That's what I'm trying to determine. So... My gut says better positioning, but I don't know where we are by default here, so I would love to know that before I pick.
So default for effect is always standard.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
And then based on the fortune roll at the beginning of this thing, your position is desperate, technically, on rolls.
We are still desperate, even though we've taken out...
That's true. So that would
several other mechs.
I've taken out.
and I do have Crab Hunter pinned to the ground beneath me.
This is fair. So I think you can definitely move it up to risky, at least. So if you take the improved position, it'll be controlled.
Okay, I would love to do risky great effect instead, if that's all right.
Hey, you do you.
Great, okay. So I've won in battle with an extra die from Sarge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3 and a 5.
Okay, so a 5. So I think you are able to target this weak spot, which, tell me, what do you think this weak spot is in this humanoid mech?
I don't know. Sarge told me what it was. What does Sarge think it is?
Typically joints, shoulders, waist, those kinds of things.
I think I've already done a lot of damage to the legs, so I'd love to just, try to take her sword arm off, basically. Like a shoulder joint.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think with that roll, you can take the arm off, and...
Yes.
Basically, the only recourse she has at this point is a small machine gun pops out of her other arm, mounted into the arm piece, and fires at you, and that would do some damage to your opposing arm.
Great. Well, you know what I always say.
Meat is cheap.
Meat is cheap. Save the metal.
Yep. So, and you can resist that with...
So I'm going to resist it.
And you get 2 die to resist.
Minus the 1 from meat is cheap, save the metal.
Spoken like a true politician.
That's a 4, so 2 more stress. So I'm up to 5. I just don't want my baby getting hurt. I'm very stressed about it.
Yeah, very little harm, but lots of stress.
Yeah.
Which is basically how Forged in the Dark works.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think with that, you've pretty much disabled Crab Hunter's mech, and so it's not terribly difficult at this point to detain these 3, given that you guys still have giant robots and they do not.
That's fair.
Despite that, I still like the kind of image of one of their cockpits opening and Paris is standing outside out of his mech, just pointing a saber at them. An actual cavalry sword.
Yes.
I'm
hair blowing in the wind.
And I am testing the heft and action of Crab Hunter's big beam saber. And
it's very unwieldy, but with some modification.
I am putting a little note in my system that this is now Plan F.
I'm using my cool big mech hands to dust the shrapnel off my razor wings.
Beautiful. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the mission. You would normally go through then basically like a score sheet of here's how well you did in your mission, which I think you would get something like -2 trust to the faction that you were against, and then +1 to whoever you're working for, and then a supply roll to judge how you're rewarded.
I got a new sword. I'm happy.
And then it would be downtime. It would move into downtime. Downtime is just sort of the other phase of this game.
Big part of my downtime is going to be yelling at Spark because
what? But I did it.
You can do it, but slamming your mech into the other mech is not the most efficient way to do it. Perhaps
my mech took no damage.
Yeah, but you did, and your mech is useless if you're dead.
Technically, I didn't. I was very stressed out about it, but I didn't hurt myself or my mech. Also, I do have a weapon. I had a cool hand repulsor energy weapon. I just wasn't using it yet. Also, I have razor wings. Those are a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I am that meme of the guy from The Office just sitting there staring and blinking.
So if you want to, there are a number of different downtime actions, but one of them is called Cut Loose, which is just spending time with another pilot to release stress. If you want to have your cut loose in downtime being you yelling at Antiquity, I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That's probably part of it is that, and just combat training. Just y'all need to run some drills.
Sure. So cut loose. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of ticks in your connection clock. So in this case, 1.
That is a 6.
Oh, okay. This is fun. So you do relieve all your stress, but if you cut loose and roll to heal more stress than you've overindulged.
Which is fair. Instead of going squad leader mode, I go full drill sergeant mode.
Yeah, so that means you either attract trouble, which causes an entangle. I mean, these are all like kind of longer term things, but you either attract trouble, brag, go AWOL, or you commit an impropriety so great that you reset their connection to 0.
That sounds about right. Don't love to be yelled at when I did nothing wrong. I just want to read this. Impropriety. Reset your connection with the pilot that joined you to 0 as you make an ass of yourself.
Uh-huh.
Sounds about right.
I think the second part of that is even funnier, which is, if you already have a 0, take level 1 harm. Alone. So Sarge cut loose by yelling at Antiquity. Antiquity, what are you gonna do?
Well, Sarge cut loose by yelling at a 19-year-old girl who hadn't done anything wrong.
That's how the military works.
I would like to cut loose with Paris.
Sure.
In a much less controversial way. Paris, your mech had taken some damage, right?
A little, yeah. It's scraped.
Just like needs some. Yeah, I think I would like to cut loose by like hanging out in our mech hangar or something and helping to sort of repair that damage for you while talking shit about Sarge.
Excellent. And this is very much because I'm assuming Antiquity knows mechs. Paris knows this mech, but Antiquity knows mechs, which means that Paris is doing the helicopter boss thing of like directing the redecoration, like making sure that all of the gold paint is reapplied properly once it's all buffed out.
Yep. Look, we both have gold mechs. I can handle it. It's fine. Please don't also yell at me.
Oh no.
This also works pretty well because you get a free upkeep to reduce level 1 damage anyway.
Hey, nice.
So it just becoming a cut loose scene works really well.
So to cut loose, I'm rolling 1 because I have 1 connection, 1 tick with Paris. Okay. That's a 5.
Okay, and how
which
much
is exactly how much stress I have.
Perfect. So you both recover all your stress and go back down to 0, but also you increase your connection clock with Paris and gain...
and write a new belief?
Yes.
Alright, so my original belief with Paris was Paris is all talk and no action. Let me think about what the...
You get a new belief by us both talking shit about Sarge.
Paris...
Could he not see that we had it?
Paris has little field experience, but he knows what's up.
Nice.
I was gonna say, to be fair, Paris didn't do much to dissuade either of us of our opinions of him.
No, but because he talked shit with me, he is higher in my estimation now.
Seems fair. And then Paris, what would you like You get 3 downtime actions. What's your first one?
So did you say we both healed stress from that?
No, just
okay, cool.
Antiquity.
All right, well,
you have to do your own cut loose to heal stress.
Okay, which of my squad mates would least like to go into Journey City and go shopping for a new mech cape? I feel like Sarge, right?
I would thrive helping you find a new mech cape, so probably not me.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like I have to take Sarge because Sarge is like also the squad quartermaster, maybe, and so I have to get the expense signed off.
Perfect.
I will channel my best Edna mode. No capes.
Whereas Paris spends the entire shopping trip trying to convince you that if only the cape had been a bit more impressive, then it would never have come to blows. We just need the cape to be bigger, and to like drape more heavily. Perhaps it could be one of those ones with attachment points at the wrist and elbow as well as the shoulders.
I will come to a compromise as long as it can double as armor.
Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Only if it's heavy enough to protect you in combat.
I'm getting a Kevlar cape.
Yeah, it's got to be functional.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Okay, so I'm rolling 1d6.
Mm-hmm.
3, which is exactly how much stress I had.
Yep. So you get another tick, and then you get a new belief about Sarge.
So my original belief about Sarge was that they will make a good social foil, and they are somebody that I can sort of point to when negotiating with people and say, that's the stick. You don't want the stick, you want the carrot.
Which proved to be true, although you didn't actually have to point.
True. So I think after this, I now know that also, I think Sarge has my back.
Sure.
I was gonna say probably that I'm not unreasonable. I'm just practical.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. All right, and then y'all have 2 more downtime activities.
Yeah, I would probably just train and work on my mech. Work on making my mech better.
Sure, absolutely.
Actually, no. I wouldn't work on making my mech better. I'd train and probably just schmooze, relax.
Yeah, so schmoozing is trying to improve trust with another faction. But yeah, and then train is just pick an action, or basically pick insight, prowess, resolve, expertise, or acuity, and add a dot to the overall.
I would upkeep would be it. Yeah.
Oh, upkeep. Yeah.
Training and upkeep. That would make sense for me.
Sure, absolutely. Upkeep, I think, is just clear exhausted cork boxes on vehicles, spend at least 1 material, and roll that many dice. Yeah.
Yep.
So just refresh your quirk and you're good to go there.
Yep. That is...
Can I assume that we gained enough material for multiple of us to do upkeep?
Yeah, I think everyone can do upkeep with the supplies you would have gotten just from being on the oligarchy side.
Excellent.
So
that I'm also doing upkeep, and then despite how annoyed I am with Sarge and that whole rant, I do think I would want to take the enhance action and work on my vehicle expertise to try to get another point in battle eventually.
Oh, okay. Well, so there's... Hold on, let me make sure I understand this properly, because it's unusual. So enhance action will give you eventually a new quirk.
Okay.
Training would be giving you another point in expertise.
Oh, training does do that? Okay.
Yeah.
The book was slightly misleading. So I would train then, to try to get another expertise.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's the vehicle's points, but also your points, and they're... Yeah. It's strange.
Yeah.
I imagine the training and the me cutting loose are kind of together.
Yeah, I think that's two downtime actions that function as one narrative action.
Yeah.
And then we can calculate XP for you guys if you want. You guys each have... There's static XP triggers, and then one's based on your playbook.
Can I just hit those last 2 downtime actions quickly first?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry.
So I'll also do some upkeep, but can I do some schmoozing with the theocracy by going and making an appearance at the grand opening of that monument they were building?
Oh my gosh, yes.
In my finery and clapping politely.
Yeah. So make a fortune roll using... To me, this is a consort, because you're not... Sway is sort of more like deception and trickery type of stuff, whereas consort is more like diplomacy.
Sounds good to me.
If you're familiar with D&D.
Yep.
So, yeah, roll it.
5.
Gain 2 trust with that faction.
Very nice.
They won't be stopping us at that checkpoint again.
Yeah, no, they're the theocracy likes you a little bit more. And then EXP triggers For the ace, it's at the end of each session, mark each item below, mark 1 XP or 2 XP if it occurred multiple times. You addressed a challenge with piloting or violence.
Mm-hmm. Several, yes.
Yeah, I think that's 2 XP, and you can put those in playbook XP or in associated actions. And then you've expressed your history, tragedy, or opening.
Probably not.
Yeah, it didn't seem to come up as much. And then you struggled because of your beliefs, scars, or quirks. Not as much.
Yep.
I definitely brought up my history more than once. And
yeah, I agree. So you can mark 2 XP for that.
And address the challenge with calculation or conspiracy. I think I did that at least twice. Once by taking the Overwatch and sniping, and then the other by pointing out the weak spots.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the envoys is, so you'll get 2 XP for each of those. Then the envoys is you addressed a challenge with deception or influence.
At least once. Maybe the theocracy checkpoint as well, but mainly
I was
the
gonna
main
say,
mission.
the main mission definitely, but I think I would also give it to you for the checkpoint. And then you expressed your tragedy, history, or opening.
Nah, not really.
Yeah, not so much.
But I did struggle because of a quirk.
You did. I used it against you, so that works. So that would be 3. All right. Yeah. In sort of a loose nutshell, that is Beam Saber.
Woo!
Fun.
Yeah. So we'll go around again and just tell us all what you're working on and where they can find you if you have social media that you prefer people to follow you on.
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter at merelymj, and I'm also the host of the Merely Role Players podcast. We play powered by the Apocalypse Systems, and we are a theatre company, so we are theatrical people playing role-playing games. Around Halloween, we will be soft relaunching with a brand new season called Vigil, and you can find that at Merely Roleplay on Twitter or at merelyroleplayers.com.
Very cool.
Group of theater people. I live in Hollywood, and I've been trying to get like my actor friends and stuff to form a group. It's a thing. Anyways, again, I am Joshua. You can find me on Twitter at Joshua Never Josh, and you can also find me producing and hosting for the Adventurers Guild on Twitter at the Guildcast, and Tabletop Comics on Twitter at tabletop_comics, where we make comic books for your ears.
Very cool.
And you can find me on Twitter at cprevis, and I am the host and GM of the Unexplored Places, which is currently playing Scum and Villainy, and you can find us on Twitter at unexploredcast.
Awesome. Once again, I'm your GM, Robin. You can find me on Twitter at lobster_writer. I'm the co-host of the Not Joanna Eggs podcast, which is an animation review podcast. And then I'm the GM of the Tabletop Buffoonery cast, which is me dragging my friends kicking and screaming through tabletop games. And you can find us on Tabletop Buffoon on Twitter. So, that's all. Thank you so much for listening, and happy International Podcast Month.
Deuces.
Bye.
The intro and outro music for all IPM episodes is composed by Benny James. Our graphic art and logo are by Matthias Grelli. You can support International Podcast Month by sharing and talking about the event, and you can even buy our team members a coffee. Links are in the show notes. Follow us at PodMonth on Twitter and use the hashtag PodMonth2020. Head on over to internationalpodcastmonth.com for the month-long blog and for more information about the event. International Podcast Month, celebrating creators, sharing listeners.